Good evening, good morning, good everything to you. Welcome to wherever you are. You're listening to Bongversation number 18 at number nine. And Dave J's, I just said to him just before we had the pre-lead, and I'm saying he's going to blow you out of the water better than he did the last 17 episodes. With this, we're going to be talking about John Carpenter, JC,
Yep.
and his series of movies that he did back in the day.
Yeah.
Dave, the date today is my date's the 8th of December, but Dave is the 7th of December, 2024. So Dave, go for it. Do your stuff.
Oh yeah, cheers. So I was going to first speak about we're going to speak about John Carpenter and a particular series of movies that he calls his Apocalypse series, which is The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. Before I went on, I wanted to talk about the idea. You remember back probably when you were a teenager, when people would talk about signs and what signs they were, and whether it be associated with their birthday, and if something was in retrograde.
Retrograde, yes. Mercury, Mars, blah blah blah.
Yeah. So currently, Neptune was in retrograde until the 7th, which is today, and then that goes into the idea of the Pearl Harbor hoax. If you're U.S. You're U.S. centric, yeah. So then that goes into the idea, and then the pearl is the idea of an idea, pearl to the swine. So then this is going to be the idea of, and also Neptune deals with spiritual intuition, dreams and imagination, empathy. So then you have to look at the idea of the negative side. So if you see it as being that at the current moment, there's a lot of dreams and imagination and empathy that you find out there. If once it goes out, then that's going to then switch polarity. I find that interesting in that now through this so-called Christmas season or the end of the year, just like in these movies we're going to talk about, there's a shading from the beginning to the end. There's an idea of peace, and then by the end there's going to be something else. So then you have you have Mars, which is I'm sorry, let's just say Mercury, for example, right now is in retrograde till the 15th. So Mercury deals with philosophy and kind of honesty, that type of thing. So what I'm looking at is coming up in this so-called holiday season, because Charon, which is in Aries, is in retrograde till the 29th. So you're dealing with this entire so-called Christmas season of going into the negative idea of friendship or family. So I would suspect that this Christmas season, instead of being one that's reported as being quite peaceful, will have a lot of Mars type idea, which is the idea of warlike or conflict and anger. Yeah. And also determination. And all these are the determination is seen as obstinance in the negative. Yeah. So then So you have.
Look, I just have to say this. I'm a big believer in the Mercury retrograde thing. I've always had for the last 10 years, I've kind of kept an eye on it.
Well, all these different lights in the sky are simply lights in the sky, but then they move with reason, and thus with all of these, just so you know, none of these so-called planet names are mentioned in the Bible whatsoever. Period.
No.
Just for but what it is that they they were given power unduly by man, and thus if you can sense the tone of existence, which is this place has a code which we've talked about since the beginning. As long as you can get in tune and that's reflected back, you're going to kind of see which way the flow is going. That allows uh, the world which is led by the fallen or Satan. That idea of the monetary system and all those the news cycles to actually prey upon the audience in certain
Yep.
ways, and whether the news are going to prey upon the audience through the ideas, which through, like, let's say The Thing, for example, was the idea of an alien force which was found frozen, the idea of an idea frozen or safely out of the way, meaning that it was not going to harm you. However, when it was thawed through the ignorance of man,
Yeah.
right? In the movie, the Thing from Outer Space, which is the 1951 version. They always make the enlisted guy look like a schmuck. So the enlisted guy, he's over there trying to get some, and he throws an electric blanket on top of the ice cube that's got the alien thing in it. So of course he melts it.
It starred the guy from Gunsmoke, wasn't it?
Yeah, Arness. He played the
James
actual
Arness.
Thing. James Arness was
the brother to Peter Phelps, Phelps from Mission Impossible.
Mr. Dillon, Mr. Dillon. Could you imagine having him running around chasing the Thing, Mr. Dillon? So he was so he played in the 1951 for sure. He played the Thing in that.
He was the Thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that comes from a book, or a 37-page novelette, which is entitled "Who Goes There" by Don A. Stewart. Yeah, now Stewart, just if you know, we won't do this tonight, but Stewart then leads back into the idea of the English House of Stuart and how all of that is just one big straight pole, just with names changing to confuse the ignorant. So then this goes into Who Goes There. Now, Who Goes There is the idea. What is it, Who Goes There? But the idea of a challenge. You say who goes there when someone's walking up to a door to a boundary. Who goes there? Who are you? So then within, if you go to the version then that most would have seen, which is the 1982 version, which had Kurt Russell, and what was interesting. This is what's very interesting about all these different movies and how they all kind of tie in this spiritual idea of meaning that just so people don't get confused, it's not men in suits deciding these things. This is spiritual ideas or blueprints or being put into people's minds, and they write it. So these characters, let's say John Carpenter, who in his name, you have the anagram Archenteron, which is the idea of a primitive elementary canal, which is the idea of the first anus within an animal. So, and that, if you push that together, you have the idea of the Vesica Pisces, or the idea of that first containment.
Well,
right now, just keep that in mind, because I just wanted to kind of continue on with this Kurt Russell idea. How it's not a man's intelligence doing it is there'll be a scene that makes no sense unless you actually look at what's being shown. At the beginning, Kurt Russell is playing chess with a computer, and he says to the computer, "Oh, you're it's a girl, it's a female voice." So he's, "Oh, you're getting scared," and then of course she makes a move, or he makes a move, she makes a move, checkmate. He has a bottle of J&B in his hand, Jacqueline and Boaz.
JB.
Okay. 100%. Do you remember back with The Prisoner, when on the shelf there was the two folders, J&B?
Yep.
Okay. So then so you always have this idea. And what does he do? He pours the J&B into the computer, as if that makes any sense.
No.
To a so-called Antarctic expedition, which has
you ring up and get a new one.
Yeah, so that scene alone isn't meant to be rational. It's meant to have some other meaning. Even if those
Yeah.
people do, it's like, why am I? What do you think? Do you think Kurt Russell? Hey, why am I pouring this JB into this computer when this is? I probably need this thing, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
and it,
I'm thousands of miles from the
yeah,
nearest computer repair shop.
yeah. So then let's look then at the symbology or the more spiritual idea of what that means. Then that's the
Okay.
idea of Jacques as the idea of temples, in this case, being short circuited, because they make a big fuss out of showing sparks coming out.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be seen. So and he also carries the J and B with him. The computer, which is representing intelligence at this point, because he's not. He continues for the movie, for at least the next part of it, carrying around the J and B instead. That's now his motivation or his intelligence.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, so that's within the thing that version, and also that one has the most interesting ending in that it shows the two, and I'll just tell you, it shows the two, and with the fire that they're sharing, and they're still not sure if one's the
One of
monster
them's
or
an
not,
monster. Yeah, exactly.
because the monster can take the shape of anything it wants to. And so
Yeah.
that's really the idea of shared spirit or idea. You don't know who has the mind of the Antichrist unless you listen to them talk,
Mm.
and if you listen to them talk, what they talk about will reflect who their father is. All right, what they talk about will reflect where their mind is. So then, if someone brings you into death and dismemberment, that's where their mind is. If someone brings you into joy, life, and then truth and understanding, that's where their mind is. It's quite easy to tell. So then with this thing, so then those two are left, and you're just left to decide at the end. You know, you
Who was a
obviously
good
know
boy?
the fire.
Yeah.
Well, it's even beyond that. The fire runs out. There's no more fire, and there's nobody coming to get him. So you kind of know. It's almost like all of that happened for nothing, quite literally
Yeah.
at the end. So that was the thing, and that gets in those different ways. The second one was that I want to talk about is the Prince of Darkness. Did you see that the 1987 one?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if you remember, they made a big deal about when the Walter Fong, the character who played he played Walter Fong, the teacher, the Asian kind of guy with the lazy eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That
so
guy. Yeah.
he was kind of kind of limping on up to in one of the first scenes he's limping on up the stairs to go to this meeting, and he makes a big point of putting his hands up to recognize an eclipse. Now, it's interesting in that the eclipse, because the eclipse that's being shown is the idea of the sun with the moon directly above it as a bowl shape, and then that goes back to the ISIS idea. All
Yeah.
right, that goes back to the ISIS idea, or the idea of always it's Satan or the Baphomet. Anytime you have the idea of ISIS or Lady Liberty, those are always Baphomet characters, because they actually, if you look at how they're constructed, they're dudes. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
For sure. Especially the face,
people,
the face of the Statue of Liberty is very male.
yeah, I know people will like to mention very similar to Ginger of Gilligan's Island.
I just have
Just
to mention too that yeah, well, yeah, well, I've seen her up close.
yeah,
That also starred Donald Pleasance, who seems to turn up in so many important movies and
yeah.
shows. Yeah, he was Blofeld and
Oh,
James Bond.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. So he plays, if you remember, just to jump kind of to now that you mention him, remember because we're talking tonight about the gastral seal. the idea of the within the anagram of John Carpenter's name, the elementary canal, or just straight in, straight out. What does it mean? Look at this character, the Donald Pleasance character. He winds up cowering in the back of the corner. He winds up being the one who then throws the axe. He is the one who actually seals the fate of the what's her nuts, the Catherine character, right? The one who Jameson Parker with that ridiculous mustache.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Parker. That's right.
that love interest. Because remember, she gets caught.
Victor Wong, Lisa Blount, and Donald Pleasance and Jameson Parker are the main stars.
Yep. So she gets because she sacrifices herself to push in the Satan character. Remember, because the Satan character, Kelly is the name of the character. She becomes Satan in the body. She's a female, and thus Satan, not through the essence idea. Because if you remember at the beginning of the movie, there's a big green deal of Satan's essence that is being.
I'll just let the audience know. It's a film follows a group of quantum physics students in Los Angeles who are asked to assist a Catholic priest investigating an ancient cylinder of liquid discovered in a monastery, where they come to find is a sentient liquid embodiment of the son of Satan.
Yep. The essence. Yep. So then the idea of the sun in this idea is the idea of light versus the idea of like a child sun. That's important, because this is later shown by the essence ideas is with a few of the characters, the little Satan liquid actually just shoots in their mouth and it takes them over. All right. But with the actual Kelly character, she becomes Satan through the idea of a mark on her arm. All right. Now the mark is noticed, and then she gets become like so-called pregnant in the way that would look pregnant in the belly, but then the body then consumes itself again. Right. So the body consumes that embryo idea. So then she gets up and then becomes the Satan character, falls in love with the reflection in the mirror. Remember? And then she goes to the mirror and then that's how she's going to bring the manifestation of so-called Satan into this world through the reflection of the glass.
It's a portal. Same kind of idea.
Yeah. Very similar to the Jacob and Boaz like poles in the movie.
The Thing.
Oh yeah. Well, even within the Thing as well, and the idea of Phantasm. Remember Phantasm back? In between the worlds, you went between the two poles, the Joachim and Boaz poles. So this is shown throughout all these different movies.
It's all the same, isn't it? Now that you're pointing it out, the same stuff is being reused again and again and again. Back in the days of this is video days, not DVD days. This is back in the days when you rented videos to watch these movies. If your cinema locally may have screened it, maybe not. Most people watch this stuff on home video at home.
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah. So then let's talk about the last one, and then we'll get finally to the They Live. So on kind of the third one in his series, it's in the Mouth of Madness, where you have where you go ahead and tell me, because you know part of this story.
Well, Sutter Kane. It's an author that's writing a book, and things keep happening in this book, and it stars Australia's Sam Neill, who played again the Omen 2. He played the Omen 3. Sorry, he was the Antichrist. He played Antichrist in that movie. He keeps again popping up dinosaur movies. I don't know how, but he keeps turning up in certain movies. And
you kind of dropped out on us, Rick. We might have dropped out, so I'm going to continue to talk. So Sam Neill, if Well, the story goes that the Cain character or the Cain author is the idea of a power, and if you uh, and this power is coming out of a city or a place called Hobbs End. Now, if you think about Hob as far as being the idea of a spirit, then let's say within northern England or the England Midlands, you have the idea of a hob, which is a spirit or a household spirit, one
Yeah.
that one that is helpful unless you stop giving it attention. All right.
Okay.
Once you stop giving it attention or try to get away from it, it gets it gets kind of cranky and starts pulling what's called pranks. And you know what, and pranks are not very nice. So
Right.
Hobbs. So then this character exists in Hobbs End. Hobbs End is
Mhm.
just another idea of just a manifestation of a pit. So then the idea of pit. So in the Mouth of Madness, you have the beginning of the show. You have Sam Neill being put into the crazy house,
Yeah.
and the doctor who brings him up is kind of a
James Bond. Another
yeah,
James
yeah.
Bond.
Yeah, you have this and the name in his when he comes up is Dr. Saperstein. Now you remember from Rosemary's Baby, her doctor was named Dr. Saperstein.
Really?
Oh yeah, yep,
Wow. Far
same,
out. There's a
yeah, yeah.
connection.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's the same. It's the same idea. It's the same idea of the Saperstein bringing uh, the one or the mind into that place. Do you remember when he went into the padded room? He started covering the whole place with crucifixes.
Yes.
Now, if you remember, in when he did that, he had a guy come into um, his doctor came in, David Warner, as and
Another
he
man who plays Satan regularly. I just have
yep,
to say, give you that one.
very
Yeah.
very distinctive face,
Yeah.
yeah, so
And
he
Jack the Ripper.
oh yeah, and he also played in the War of the Roses. Now the War of the Roses goes back um, uh, to the hoax of the War of the Roses, which goes back to the Stuart line and to the Tudor line and to the
Wow.
Windsor line, which we were
Yeah. Yeah.
talking about earlier. So that's like another that's a
Another
whole
link.
different yeah, a whole different place. And
Oh man,
I
you can
was
just you
yeah.
can just keep linking and linking and linking. So very
Yeah,
hard to summarize it. So you just go.
the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, they call that game.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
well, it's 100% true though.
yeah.
100%
So
true.
yeah, you have the David Warner character. Now, if you remember, he played in The Omen 3. He played the photographer
That's
that
right.
ran. And what
No, the
was
first
interesting.
one wasn't it? Wasn't it the first one that David Warner
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
I'm sorry. In the
photographer?
first one, he played the
Yeah,
photographer. In the first one, yeah.
that's right. Yeah,
And what happened is, do you remember he was in a very similar room with
yeah.
all the crucifix because that's where the priest was. Right? So then
Yes.
when the ambassador and the photographer went to the priest's room, it was a very similar experience. However, he was speaking within the ambassador, and then later in this movie, he was speaking with the Sam Neill character,
Yeah,
or John Trent. John Trent is the idea of the insurance investigator.
yeah.
So then he goes off to investigate Sutter Kane, and he's sent off with a lady named Linda Stiles. And what's happening is what I found interesting about the transition is that when he goes over the bridge. Now the bridge is interesting in that the bridge is always used. Sometimes it's called a rainbow bridge, or it's a bridge over a moat. It's the idea of going from one place into another place, usually a sanctuary or a safe place or another, just a separation completely. In this case, she goes into the Hobbs End, right, where this kind of spiritual town exists, where the what's his name is existing. The actual the
Yeah. Sutter Kane.
Yeah, Sutter Kane. So he's banging away on the story in his little cathedral almost. It's a anti-cathedral, and he's banging away the actual writing the story, and he's convincing or trying to convince Sam Neill, and this would be the devil trying to convince man or woman that they're not doing anything, that he's doing everything, and that they have no hope of getting out. Because quickly to go back to the Prince of Darkness on the computer, the two of the notes that the Satan essence gave to so-called mankind was that you will not be saved by the god plutonium, and that was for anyone who believed in Hades, or the idea that they would be saved by Satan if they couldn't be saved by Christ, and that you will not be saved by the Holy Ghost. See, you will simply dissipate.
So it's Antichrist all over the place. Antichrist.
So that was back in that. I meant to bring that up, and I'm kind of glad this brought up, because it all connects, and it keeps tying into the same story. So the Linda Stiles character is the one who witnesses the transformation from so-called reality into this Hobbs End spiritual land, and then he wakes up. Right now, he wakes up. Now he's in this place. And it's one of those things where it's almost where you go into a scene that it doesn't seem quite right, and you walk in, and then you just start to notice things are wrong. Every time you walk back in, something changes. And so he realizes that he thinks, or he realizes that he's dreaming. Now, I won't... that's enough of kind of... you'll probably... Oh, and that one also had Charlton Heston, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
He plays Jackson Harglow, which is the actual one who sends him out on the mission, or he's actually the publisher.
And we talked about him, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Planet of the Apes, etc.
Yep. And also The Last Man on Earth. That idea, when he played that character, he also played in Soylent Green as well. Now remember, green, or the idea of light, jade, is also the color of the essence in the movie Prince of Darkness of the Satan juice.
The juice
was green, a lighted green jade color.
Yeah, exactly.
And that movie also brought in the idea of remote camera viewing. They said all they had to do is say remote viewing, and it would have been the same as remote viewing that you would kind of know today. The idea of seeing an event in the future that hasn't happened yet, remote viewing. And so then it brought that idea, but it also brought in the idea of, it's been across many, but shared dreams. When you are in proximity to something, you would have the shared dream, and the same people or people around you would have that same dream. That same shared dream motif happens in The Thing. When you were too close to the Thing, you had shared dreams. Yeah. Same thing in The Mouth of Madness. It became, at the end, a shared dream. Do you remember?
Interesting.
Because I told you, so then I told, but it becomes, each one is more personalized, to where by the third one, in The Mouth of Madness, it's a personal story of an actual single individual. No matter how many actors are in the movie, it's simply about the Sam Neill character.
Yep.
Period. And then that character, I won't give away the ending, but then that represents each individual person. All right.
Yeah.
Because the Cain character is in fact the Cain character of lore or of murder. Right. So that is
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, that is the Cain character. The Cain character always represents the Antichrist character, or the lie system. That idea.
Fantastic.
Always.
Good.
Always.
Yep. Good tie-in.
Yeah. So then we did that. We went, and I was going to say, do you know what else kind of ties into that same? I was thinking about it just right now. Is there's a Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man.
Oh my God, that's got to be my favorite episode of the Twilight Zone.
So that's the 24th episode of third season. So that's going to be your 3-6.
Number nine.
Yeah, it's also so then you have, and so then that at the begin, or that at the end, was also the same thing. is the idea that you're getting this communication, and then at the end, by the time you've realized what it says, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because it's a cookbook.
It's a
And then,
cookbook, yeah.
yeah,
That has got to be one of the greatest episodes of that show. And Twilight Zone had so many good episodes, but
yeah,
that was the one that I always think back about.
yeah,
To serve man, and how stupid. Read your book, read things properly. That's another takeaway from that is just make sure you read things properly and don't
right.
assume that
Assume, yeah,
assume. Because you're going to get
assume.
consumed.
There's,
You're going to get
there's,
consumed. You'll be
yeah,
consumed if you
by your
assume.
assumes. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm.
motives. There hangs the tale. For in just a moment, we're going to ask you to shake hands, figuratively, with a Christopher Columbus from another galaxy and another
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
This is the Twilight Zone. Now, the Christopher Columbus idea is the CC or
CC,
33.
CC
Yeah.
33.
So
Yeah,
then,
got you.
Oh, and also, I found this interesting is that the music for that, or the scores they call it,
Yeah,
was
score.
also used in The Invaders.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Quinn Martin production,
well,
The
yeah,
Invaders. Yeah,
Invaders. Yeah. So
yeah,
he
fantastic show.
yeah, he did. And we're going to talk about that one too. Yeah, that's a Jerry Goldsmith type music for that.
Yeah, the music's
Yeah.
also very important too, Dave.
Mm. Oh yeah.
And speaking of bridges and music,
Hmm.
there's a bridge in music as
Oh,
well,
actually,
and
yeah,
it's
of course.
almost doing exactly the same thing,
Oh, absolutely.
leading you into a certain area,
Well, it
leading
brings you
you
to the
take.
next. Yeah, it brings you
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the next
exactly.
bit. You
Mm,
know.
mm, yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Dude, you're doing it again as usual. But yeah, keep going. Now we've got
Well,
the next most important one, and as you said, everyone will get angry if you don't mention the most important movie to the average. I call them conspiracy theorists or
right.
awake people. Was
Hmm.
They Live when that came out back in it was 87, 88. I'm not sure, can't remember. What a great movie! I loved it, and it had a great cast. But it came from an old book, Dave. What was the old book that came from?
Oh yeah, that came from 8 o'clock in the morning. That
Eight
was
o'clock in the morning.
yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
So if you yeah, when did they live? Came that would have been 88, of course. 88,
88.
16/7,
Yep.
HH.
Bang bang.
So yeah,
Yep.
boom,
Yep.
boom. So yeah, so that came from 8 o'clock in the morning, which was a permanent, or it was the idea of an announcement to the main character, which goes by the same name actually as the Rowdy Piper character is Nada, meaning nothing. Nada.
Yeah, John. So his name was literally meaning nothing.
Yeah, and
And
so
he,
then yeah, so the
yeah.
character. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
No, no. Well, that's very important that you should bring that up
Oh,
because that's
mm-hmm.
exactly his. That was his name, and he was just an itinerant labourer that walks into a city to see desolation,
Right.
homelessness, and unemployment. Yeah, go
Did
there.
you notice then also on the? I sent you a screenshot of the first graffiti wall you see when the movie first opens, and directly in the center of all that mayhem of the graffiti is the injection needle.
Yes.
Right. Now,
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've never seen that before.
yeah, it's right there. So the injection needle. Now, then he goes into town. He all that he gets denied the job. He hears the street preacher talking about,
Mm,
the same old things that they're, the us and them, this and that. He gets the glasses. He sees, what is in in physical space the idea of the spiritual war that's happening already. The idea that we're already talking about, that all these different movies and TV items that are being given are in fact because the Satan character is allowing them to be put out. All of
yeah.
this so-called entertainment is not good. You
No.
just have to be able to see it for what it is, and you can see the reflection. And that so then with that idea, the Nada character, the Rowdy Piper character, in 8 o'clock in the morning, is told by the actual uh, what did they call them guys in the informers, or did they, no, facilitators.
Informers. Facilitators.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
no, fascinators. I'm sorry, fascinators.
Fascinators. Yeah.
Fascinators, because the idea of being fascinated is the idea of being put under a spell. So the fascinators told him that he'd be gone at 8 o'clock in the morning. So the book was, or the little short story is only 6 pages long, and so then from the beginning to the end, it's quite quick on all the
Is
action.
this 6 pages of just a normal novel size thing, or a magazine 6 pages, which could be
It
two
would
different?
be probably along, like in a sci-fi magazine. It
Yeah.
would be a featured article.
Yeah. Got you.
It'd be called a featured article for sure. And so then, yeah, by the end of those 6 pages, you know what happened exactly. There's no middle ground. However, in the well, the same thing happens in the story, but the idea is that uh, the main character is seeing this place, or whatever is called reality, for what it is. However, even those that in particular in the book, his loved one at the time cannot. So he winds up taking her and putting her out of the way, right?
This is in
And
the
yeah,
novelette you're talking
in
about.
the
Yeah.
little novelette, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then then he continues and he does what he has to do. The end result's the same, as that the method of control was through media, whether it be uh, magazine, TV,
Yep.
movie,
Yep. Yep. 100.
billboard.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you remove all the fighting scenes and the street preaching scenes and the soup kitchen scenes, you're left with a few different ideas. That all the different advertising is the ways that the creatures that communicate through even in the book, they had a communication devices which they were all connected. In the TV shows, or in They Live and the
The
book,
movie.
it's more, in the movie it's acting more like it's a physical item. However, in truth and reality, it's just the mindset. So that
Right.
those of the Antichrist mind know each other because they recognize each other by their speech, right?
Yep.
So
Interesting.
that's the connection. And so then you also have, within the Masonic structure, you have the idea of hand signs, right?
Yeah. Flashes, or
And
flashes, they call it, or a
flashes, yeah,
flash.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then and the main idea is within this so-called realm or space, is to go back to, you have these different ideas of that these movies are putting out, and they'll fall within numbers you've heard before. 9/11 ideas. nine
Yeah.
eleven ideas are your towers being taken down, controlled
Yeah.
demolition,
The
and
Wacom and Bowies. Wacom and
yeah,
Bowies. Yep.
absolutely. The 3/11 is the idea of your mind being stolen. The crown,
Interesting.
your
Yeah.
crown be taken, because
The
Revelation
Corona.
3:11. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Revelation 3:11 is, behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have. That is what you have inside you, what truth you have, that no one may take your crown.
Yes. Interesting.
So
Interesting.
so your crown is your mind. So then how you see that these ideas, whether it be 3/11, 9/11, these all have a much bigger idea than just
Yeah.
what's being, just the latest little story that's being used.
And
Although
they,
nine
these.
eleven's 9/11's a very big one. There's like the 9/11, and then there's what the Israelis claimed their 9/11 was. And so but it's not the 9/11 that goes back to 2001 in the US. It's the idea of 9/11 that goes back to the idea of taking the temples down with
That's
Samson.
right.
That
That's
idea.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so
So
that's,
it's rinse and repeat, but
yeah,
incredibly powerful subconscious power symbol. The 9/11,
right.
those towers. Yeah. And
Yeah, so
3/11. Sorry, I
go
just have
ahead.
to say, 3/11 was preempted many, many, many times in your billboards with CK. When you saw the Calvin Klein logo everywhere, that's 3/11, 3/11,
Hmm.
3/11. Every time you saw a Calvin Klein advert, you were actually seeing 3/11 put into your head. You didn't know that till maybe you listened to this, or you woke up 15 years ago, whenever. But it's a very powerful. Sorry, Dave, keep going. I'm
Well,
just had to add
yeah,
that
I
on.
would say also, if you take the idea of the C and the K and you put them in together, you're going to see and you turn it sideways, that's the square and the compass.
Yes, exactly. Funny that.
But it's a square in the compass. So yeah.
Yeah.
And so you just know, where you are. This place, that this place is going to offer you nothing but these Masonic Scooby snacks, right? So I would suggest
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Masonic Scooby snacks.
yeah,
Oh, I love
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, you got to register that. Register that
yeah,
as a thing. The Masonic Scooby snacks. Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah. So that's all you're going to be offered. So it's best just to move along, and so then I was going to say I wanted to close with the idea that if you're going to look at the idea of they live, 8 o'clock in the morning is 6 pages investment versus
Mm-hmm.
an hour and a half, because there's a lot of they live that's kind of just it's not needed. It could be
Yeah,
cut.
the romance
Yeah,
scene and the
yeah,
falling out off the building and all
yeah,
of that, and even the end with the signal tower. I think you just needed to pick up what
yeah.
you can explain the pickup, but it's a real simple pickup
Yeah,
that
so
you get.
if you put 8 o'clock in the morning, raynelson.pdf, read 6 pages, you'll kind of get what's going on. And then also, if this is very interesting, if you read the actual Who Goes There, which is the little novelette for The Thing, which is 37 pages, which is your 777 by the way.
Yeah.
It's very you wouldn't know if it was written 100 years ago or yesterday. You wouldn't know just
No.
by the way it's written. It's nothing. There's nothing new under the sun, and it takes it takes going to a place like that set or that setting to show you that what was happening then is the same exact thing that would be happening today, as far as care and comfort of the individual.
Yeah.
I found that it's very easy to read because it's so much better written. I'll say that. Now, the John W. Campbell character, who is the one who is going to write that, because one's the idea of a pseudonym or a pen name.
It's got the JC in it though. Again,
Yeah, John Campbell. Yeah, which is also which is
John
kind of the same
Carpenter.
as John Carpenter. So yeah,
Yeah.
so and so you have the Don A. Stewart pen name idea. So you'll find it either one, but it's Who Goes There. 37 pages. Read it. It's very well written, and in fact he has a
Illuminating.
lot. Yeah, he has very
Illuminating.
interesting. Yeah, he has very interesting writings because those were written in the in I want to say 1938. So he has one that was written in 1933, which deals with like a time before time idea,
Yeah.
which is another interesting aspect.
Yeah.
However, that's kind of those subjects are harder to talk about in company that has not accepted that they can move outside of time.
Yeah.
There's
That's a
more,
whole concept.
yeah,
Into itself.
yeah, because it's like it's like you can't talk to someone who about an idea that cannot recognize the idea as a light itself. So it's like, if you can't even recognize the light's there, how can I talk to you about it? So then there is levels to this idea. So then once you see the commonality between all these different stories, and then the different names and the anagrams and the ideas that are incorporated, and even going back to this John Carpenter character who went to USC, and you're expected to believe, if you follow their story, that he drops out in the last semester of going to a university. That again is a story narrative. It's to tell the goy that you too can drop out, or you too can quit what you're doing and just become this character. These are all made people. These are all made characters, because this same school is the same that produced Neil Armstrong, George Lucas, John Wayne, Jane Goodall.
Wow.
Idea. So then George Lucas had a class with Jerry Lewis at the time and you remember he was he played the nutty professor in a movie. The idea, kind of Jekyll and Hyde character.
Yeah.
Yeah, lady, hey lady.
Yeah.
Hey lady. And then
hey lady.
Hey lady. Yeah, and George. Yeah, so then you can see how one generation passes on to the next. These are all made men. These are all made men, made women, And the thing is, and here's, if you're made class, what you don't do is tell them being the goy, the how to do it. You give them a story on how they did it, or how, and then of course it's misdirection. So then those follow that lead are just going to, meander in the leavings of these type characters. Yeah, you can make a movie or two, but it's not going to make anything unless you fall under contract of this or that studio. All right.
Yeah.
And then once you fall under the contract of this or that studio, if it's not the first time your movie or your book gets taken, it'll be the second or third that you just simply are not needed anymore.
That's right. It's interesting that Carpenter would, or this, They Live '88, would star a wrestler who had never, as far as I'm concerned, acted before. And wrestling is part of this whole script. That's why you got Trump being involved with wrestling, and there's a big there with wrestling.
There's a lot of acting in wrestling, especially back when
Gary,
was doing it, because they were doing little sit downs, like in between the wrestling. They were having little skits and things like that.
Sure.
And that's one thing these characters do is they look for really just someone who's going to put the butts in the seat more than anything. So if you know that your crowd is the same, let's say if you're a comic book crowd and a video game crowd, you're going to go ahead and base your comic book movie, in a video game type of environment.
Which I did.
You get both those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll just have to mention the lenses on these glasses. I'm not sure if that's in the same in the original books. I haven't read that, to be honest, Dave. I know about it. The 8 o'clock in the morning, but the glasses were called Hoffman lenses. Hoffman lenses. Yeah.
Well, the idea. Go ahead.
Oh well, that fits in with the supposed creator of LSD was Hoffman, wasn't it?
Probably
Hoffman.
the worst foisted upon the general public actor ever, Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Oh, he's horrible. Yeah. Every time I hear his name, I think about his little ugly mug in that containment helmet when he was in that movie Outbreak.
Yeah. Well, there's another one. There's another guy who's he keeps popping up in suspicious movies. He was, and apparently not a nice guy. That's what I've heard. So what do you do?
Because he's short. That's all.
Ratso from the Midnight Cowboy. Anyway, that's fantastic, Dave. Have we got any more to say about They Live apart from the?
No. Like I say, it's quite simple story, really. In the movie, the device is glasses that lets you see. In the book, it's really just the fascinators. What happened was he was knocked out of his what do they call that when they put you under hypnosis? When he was brought back out, he woke all the way up, is what he said. So he kept telling people they need to wake up. So it was wake up in the book, not just putting on glasses.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, so that's kind of the difference. And so I would say that the wake up has more legs than the glasses idea.
I think so.
Yeah,
it snap out of it and wake up.
Yeah,
and look around.
Right.
Yeah, and don't take the don't go over the bridge unless you know what's at the other end of it. That's another thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, that bridge idea for sure is in the mouth of madness. That's a interesting. It's a rather slog to get through until that part of the movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I remember there was a comment or a question that was asked of you that they wanted to know what TV or movies or television shows how it affected you or influenced you in your younger life. Let's just say up until middle school. Let's keep it
Yeah, well,
the younger age.
I'll tell you straight away. The Prisoner, which was
Hmm.
on in the background, but I think Monty Python was the show that came out in '69. Again, '69 produced a lot of amazing things. I think you might be one of those things,
I
Dave.
am. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So '69, Monty Python came out, and they took TV into a different realm. It was surreal. But they had Terry Gilliam, who again, and there's some more clues to what we'll talk about maybe next week or
Hmm.
before Christmas. Terry Gilliam and his movies. We can discuss some of them. He
Hmm.
was doing the animations for the show. That was my imagery at 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 was Monty
Mm.
Python, because I wasn't allowed to technically stay up and watch it. I'd sneak out, do a commando kind of crawl,
Right.
and and then stare and watch the TV because my mother or father were watching it and laughing away. And I remember watching that and going, "This just makes so much sense to me." And now, after I'm after many years, I'm seeing how much stuff was placed into those shows that makes a lot more sense than what they were pretending to
Mm.
be a bunch of comedians. But so that I'd say The Prisoner, Monty Python, and Sesame Street, those three shows. Whoever
Oh
asked that
yeah.
question, mm.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
Sesame, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
one of the biggest takeaways I saw, there was a TV show called the Super Friends, and it would come on super early because I would say it was one of the first cartoons on. This would be in California. It was called the Super Friends, and there was an episode where at the end of the episode there was just a fence and like a city that was, the leaves were blowing and everything was blowing, and
Yeah,
then a newspaper blew against the fence, and it was talking about the end of the world. And I looked at that and I said, that's an interesting idea because I had never heard of it before.
well, the concept, the
Yeah,
end of
yeah,
the world.
I had not heard of it in that way. And I looked at that and that sticks with me even today. I remember that. I said, I'm going to look into that. And it is, of course,
Yeah,
it,
well, that's an understatement.
yeah,
You certainly did look into it.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well, there
yeah,
were
there's
several.
definitely
Oh, go
those
ahead.
things that affected you. No, well, as the question that was asked, those things that you saw as a child woke up something in your psyche or your head that you already knew, but you went, I want to know more. And you followed through with that thing. It just took a key to be thrown in front of your face, or a lock on a door, and you want to find the key to get into that door.
And there was several episodes of In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. My dad would watch it, and I was
Mm.
even back then I was freaking annoyed with this Leonard Nimoy goof because I'm watching this thing and he brings up a topic, so I'm watching part of it. And I know in the 15 minutes I'm looking, I said now he's going to start to backtrack. Now
And
it's
he
going to
did.
be Leonard. It's going to be Leonard Nimoy in retrograde, and then for the next 10 minutes he spent backtracking, and then at the very end, you know what he tells me? We don't know if any of this is real or not. Have a great week.
It's the same. And yeah, so Arthur C. Clarke did the
Yeah,
exact same thing, The Mysterious
yeah,
World of Arthur C.
yeah,
Clarke, on exactly, maybe not the same time, but when the In Search of finished, they'd play on Saturday, probably
uh,
about 7 o'clock at night. Funny that 7 o'clock at night on
yeah,
Saturdays,
yeah.
they'd play
77.
they'd play in Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World,
Mm.
and he did the same thing. He rubbished, you know, aliens, UFOs. What a lot of rubbish. He
Yeah.
kind of knocked. He'd say, that's a lot of old rubbish, and then he'd bring
Oh,
up the stuff. And this is
cobblers.
the guy, the old cobblers. And this is the guy who is you are. He was responsible for you and your satellite beliefs.
Right.
Arthur C. Clarke. That was the guy. ACC. And I've already
A
brought up the ACC. There's a big one
A
CC. The whole of
A1 CC
C. Yeah,
337.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Three
a
plus three plus
big,
one
big
is
clue.
so
Big clue.
he was bringing in the mind into space marbles.
He
Space
was.
marbles rolling around. So then there's two particular episodes which I can recall vividly, which I was pissed. I was punching my pillow. I was mad. One was the Oak Island, which we need to discuss that at some point.
We should.
That fraud. Even as I was a kid, I'm like, you're digging up your own waste. You're digging up your own waste.
Yeah, that's the Templar myth, or the story. Sorry, the myths of the Templars, Oak Island. But yeah, huge. Yeah, you could just do a show on that. We will.
That was a show. They did do it. Yeah, they even wasted more people's time with a recent show called The Mystery of Oak Island, where they keep digging up their own garbage.
I saw it. And they keep digging and digging and digging. And guess what?
Like you're digging into the water table.
Happens. Oh my God!
It's like the water table's 5 feet below the surface. Dumb skulls.
Yeah, but what they did is they made it. They filmed them. It's like a reality TV show.
Right.
They filmed their surprised look or angry look. They edited it and oh my God! I was watching it going, "Give me an answer. I want an answer. I don't want to see you digging holes again." But and then they bring up the more secrets of Oak Island. More secrets of Oak Island. Like, come on, we want answers. Dave, you're giving them the answers. So 10 out of 10.
And the second one that really annoyed me was the Mexican Sun and Moon Pyramid. And I said, I'm going to figure that out. And I did. And I put up a video on that one.
Excellent. So what was the end?
It's a hoax. It's literally a hoax, Rick. Check this out. You have these small so-called pyramids kind of lining up as if you're walking up to the main pyramid.
Yeah.
And then if you go around to the back of these side pyramids, you can see that they just dug out, just like a set. You build the front of the house, but you don't build anything behind. You just put it up with 2x4s.
Yeah,
it's just a fronting.
Like a cowboy village.
It's a cowboy town.
Cowboy town, yeah.
It's a cowboy town.
Great big buildings with a whole lot of 4x2s holding it up.
Yeah, so they basically capped just the front quarter of these little mounds. The whole back ass end is still natural.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed all that. And I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous. And then I also showed that back then during strip mining, the idea of just using high pressure water, you can run it and just cut. That's how they used to cut, the idea of sides of hills to wash down minerals and all. So it's not very difficult. But that was the second episode as a kid that annoyed me. And that would have been in the 70s, man. That's a lot of years to stew. I was stewing for many years.
You would have been 10 years of age. So it'd be 79 that episode.
And I even remember the beginning of the Oak Island episode. I was so excited. It opens up with these two kids, kind of like almost like Tom Sawyerish looking.
Yeah, same thing.
Kind of dancing down, down the hill, and they're giving you the story of this place. I'm like, okay, now we're talking. Because I was wanting to hear it because I knew it wasn't, I knew the neighborhood wasn't all there was to offer. So I'm like, wait, maybe this freaking Spock guy's got something to tell me. What do you got for me, Spock?
Yeah, look. Well, he came. So he. They only did I think 3 series of Star Trek. Then he jumped on and he was doing Mission Impossible as Paris, the Master of Disguise. And then he didn't do a great deal on it, but he appeared in obviously that movie we were actually talking about last week or the week before, the
Body Snatchers.
The Body Snatchers. He was in that.
Yeah,
so he was appearing. Yeah. Well, he was appearing in like scantily every now and then he'd be on TV, and all of a sudden the reruns of Star Trek came back out again, and that absolutely went berserk all around the world. There was Star Trek, the first 3 to 4 episode series. Like he became a person that was more. He was also named after Dr. Spock, Dr. Spock, the strange pediatric doctor that turned up with his How to Raise a Child book, which was
what that is too.
Shit.
You know what that though is too, Rick. That Dr. Spock character is one that is. Let's say if you have monopoly on supermarket checkout counters.
Yeah.
And I present to you a weekly magazine, and then I present to you a doctor character that's going to be seen by the so-called
public,
all the shoppers, which is going to be and so they grab this book. You can present to an entire population a character quite quickly.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. So Dr.
Yeah.
Spock. So
Mhm.
and I'm telling you now, if you played a game of word association and you said the word Spock and said what associated with it, I'd say doctor, not
Mm.
Mister. It'll be doctor. So
Mm.
I think they used the character of the Vulcan, which was Leonard Nimoy, the
Mhm.
logical, everything was always right, gentle, could never kill anyone, just pressed his hand on their neck and did a Masonic sign every now and then. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, you presented a new character called Dr. Spock, who was telling you how to raise your children. And I'm going to tell you now, if you just turn the book upside down and do the opposite, you
Mm.
get better children than what Dr.
Right.
Spock was giving you advice for. Anyway, so that'll be something for another show in the future.
Well,
Because
you
we
also
can just
then
do
have,
Spock.
yeah,
Mm.
you also have the idea of the Leonard Nimoy character putting out the the duality or the double-mindedness of the I am not Spock, I am
Yes,
Spock from
that was his
75
book.
to
Yeah,
95.
that was his book, though. I am not Spock.
Yeah, and then
You know,
he wrote, and then in 95 he put I am Spock.
exactly. So
So it's
this
like the
is
dual-mindedness, the
dual
coexistence of
mindedness.
characters called.
Yeah, yeah. So it's giving you
It's
this kind of
ridiculous, man.
yes, they're using this is NLP. It's also psychic linguistic programming because it's in your face, it's in your ears. Speaking of ears, Dr. Spock has pointy ears, which who would you associate pointy ears with? Probably a demon.
Yeah.
Uh, in their character, he's also the logo of Star Trek had that Masonic, the V on the side. Actually, I think we should just do a whole Star Trek smashdown because there is so much to discuss. I don't think we could ever run out of. We could just do a
Uh,
Star Trek show.
well, because
That's it.
I thought we did one already.
We did, but you know
Didn't
how
we
many
do one
episodes?
already? Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done the movie. We haven't done all the movies yet, though.
Oh, the movies yet? Yeah. Like
Yeah,
when they jumped the shark. Well, I guess at the end they jumped the whale.
rescuing whales,
They
jump the
jumped the
whale.
whale in the last one.
Yeah, we have actually spoken
That
about,
one
but
I'm gonna have to
I just think
go hard
there's
miss on.
I just think a Spock breakdown would be a real
Mhm.
interesting show because I've got a lot to say about that.
I
And I
say
know
we
you
try.
will.
I say we travel with him. We find out where that character's been because he was the liar to me that caused me discomfort as youth. So with
Mm,
that whole Oak Island thing, so I'm not going to let him off the hook with the In Search Of. So we can do the In Search Of, the Star Trek, and just
yeah,
kind of follow that character through the Snatchers and also all the other places he's been, because he shows up in some other places as well.
he does. He does
Yeah,
absolutely 100%. Anyway, I
that's
think
interesting.
all right, we've
How are we doing
smashed
it?
the. Oh, we've smashed the fucking. Well, you have. We've done a good job here on this episode of the Bongversation. Dave, you were telling me about your you had a smoke tonight, and you'd
Huh,
added some wax to it that you'd made from the whole stalk of the
right.
wax
Which
of the
is
plant.
really,
Rather. Now, full
yeah,
spectrum wax. Now, I'm interested.
full spectrum.
You've got me interested with that. The name full spectrum wax. Do explain what full
Okay.
spectrum wax is. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when you make a wax or if you're doing anything, you're only gonna just knock off the trichomes, and then you're gonna go ahead and produce the wax or the keef with that, or even the hash, pressed hash, or even water hash. So on top of some sour diesel, which is just some straight flour, which is a real nice uh, has a real nice kind of fuely smell in a good way. I wanted to put some of my full spectrum wax, and what that means is not only do I dissolve it using the butane process, the flour, I also then add in the sticks and stems that show any type of sugar. Now, sugar meaning THC, that idea, but it also then is going to dissolve some of what's going to be in the plant material, and it allows it to be to have a little bit more kind of a, because sour diesel has a low CBD content generally. The full spectrum acts as if it's more of a body high and a mind high. So to me, I like the full body spectrum wax because it incorporates some of the what's sometimes left behind on the cutting room floor, and that is the stem and the stalk. So
Excellent.
that's the difference. So to me, it's like the entire plant is important, so I use it if I can. Yeah.
And why not? And why
Yeah.
not? Why not? Why waste any part of
Yeah.
anything if you're growing or doing it, be
Now,
it a
you know,
herb,
hmm
mm,
oh, go ahead.
be it for cooking or for smoking?
hmm
Why waste an ingredient?
Well, in Isaiah 18, it actually tells you exactly what to do with the sticks and it says, so then before the harvest, when the bud is perfect and the sour grape is ripening in the flower. So that's like the smell when you smell it. So before you cut down your cannabis plant, you want to hold the bud flower, and you want it to not only look full and fat, you need it to smell like you want to smoke it. It needs to smell right. So when the sour grape is ripening in the flower, you could smell it in there. Then you shall cut off the sprigs with hooks, and then take away and cut down the branches. See, so then you get to do that. And guess what? Then in Isaiah 18, that's Isaiah 18:5, because in Isaiah 18:4, you know what it says? It says, so the Lord said unto me, that would be my Lord Jesus Christ says to me, he says, I will take my rest. I will consider in my dwelling place, that's your house or your home, like a clear heat upon herb, and like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. You got to know what's going on there.
Yeah.
So, so then to
I
jump
know what's
forward,
going on.
yeah,
I worked that one out.
yeah, you worked it out. So then to jump forward to 6, what do you do after you hang the cannabis plant? You've cut the dry flower off, and that's what most people are going to smoke. I only use the sticks and stems if I'm doing like an ISO extraction or a butane extraction. Just to smoke, you're just going to smoke the flower itself. So then,
Beautiful.
yeah, then what does it say? It tells you what to do with all those leftover twigs. In verse 6, it says, those sticks shall be left together unto the fowls of the mountains and to the beasts of the earth. And the fowls shall summer upon them, and the beasts of the earth shall winter upon them, meaning make them beds.
Yeah, well,
So they'll use those sticks for your bed, for making their beds. See,
why
so
not?
everybody
And
gets
why not?
everybody benefits. So yeah, so
I love
that's yeah. So then that's right on. That's right in there. It's right in the script.
It certainly is. And Isaiah keeps popping up on
Yeah.
our shows all the time with that particular Isaiah 18 bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
fantastic, dude.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
then
Well,
until next week, I guess.
until next week, I'm going to have to say this again.
Mm,
Every episode gets better and better, and this is definitely the best episode I can think of since the last one.
nice.
So you've done an awesome job again, man. And I'm going to play at the end of the song. I'm going to play something because Dave is alive, and we are alive here on the Bongversations, a live human being, and being not dead to the world is very important. You need to
Correct.
be alive, and so I've got a
Correct.
great old '60s song, "Alive." Can't remember
Nice.
who sang it, but
Somebody.
somebody sang it. But yeah, you can
So am I
Google it if
kicking?
you
Am I kicking this bot out?
kick the bot out, man, and we'll have a chat afterwards.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you now, man, you've done it again. You've
Okay.
done it again. Thanks,
Excellent.
Dave.
Thank you, Rick.
And Joel will put on the end of the show "Alive" by somebody. I can't quite.
Good evening, good morning, good everything.